Things when you're picking your herbs, you're going to want to pick ones that are pretty clean. You're not going to want to pull off a lot of mud because you don't want to wash these. You can rinse them, but don't scrub them. It can tend to remove the flavor of your herbs. There's a couple ways you can dry them. You can use a dehydrator. We've got our dehydrating racks here. You can use a cookie sheet in the oven with just the light on. You don't want to turn your oven on. You can tie them up and hang them upside down in a window or on a door frame. Doesn't really matter. And you're just going to layer them. If you're using a dehydrating rack like we are, you're just going to layer them on your rack or your cookie sheet. Try not to let them touch too much. And I'm putting the herbs that are easily recognizable on my trays so that it's not a big deal when I come back and try to figure out what everything is. But another great way to make sure you know what's on your sheets is to put a little tag next to them. And we like to just slip it under the mesh so that it holds it. There we go, parsley. This tray is our sage and parsley, fresh from the garden. And you can do this with any herbs, but we have oregano, marjoram, sage, parsley, and some basil here. And I'm also going to be drying some calendula and primrose. Tag. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and save the rest for another tray, I think. I can squeeze the marjoram in there. And if you notice things like little bugs or whatever on your herbs, you can just sit them in a basket on your porch or wherever until they have vacated your herbs, and then go ahead and start drying. You're going to want to dry your herbs at 95 to 125 degrees, and you're just going to keep going until your herbs are dry, and everything's going to be a little different. Basil is going to take longer than parsley, so just keep an eye on it, and maybe when it feels like they're well dry, take them out and then you can store them. Alright, this tray has already been dried. I like to store mine in jars. Just like that. You can trim down the stems a little if you need to. And just put the lid on. Now for leafy herbs like oregano, I like to use this tool. And it strips it off of the stem for me, which makes it way easier, and I don't have to worry about pulling it off when I need it. It's just all ready to be used when we're cooking. And it does a really great job doing this. You can use this tool on fresh herbs too, but I like to use it best on my dry herbs. It just pulls them straight off. And you don't have to have this tool, but it does make it quite a bit easier to do this. So if you don't have that tool, just use your fingers and kind of gently rub the herbs off the stems. Like that. You don't need to pull too hard, just enough to get them to release the stem. And as you do this, you're really going to smell the herbs as you break it apart. You can store your herbs in anything from old seasoning containers that you've saved and of course like rinsed out. You can use canning jars. We actually have been reusing artichoke heart jars and they work perfectly. But you can use Ziploc bags, anything that's airtight, because it's really important to keep them where the air isn't going to take away the flavor or the oils